Hey, good morning, guys. Another Wednesday. That means it's time for another episode of Come On Ref. Got a pretty good show for you guys. First, let's say hello to everyone. Aidan, what's going on, man?
What's good, everybody? I'm feeling a lot better today than I would have been if the Cavs lost last night. But what's good, everybody?
Aidan Vance feeling pretty good today, man. Ben Bales, what's going on, buddy?
Nothing much.
Nothing much. As
Short
always,
and
the man
sweet.
of many
Short and
words.
sweet.
Well, you know me. I'm your host. I'm Chad Bryan. Like I said, we got a great show for you today. We're going to talk about. Well, let's just get in right to it. Let's talk about what happened last night. Man, game one didn't go so well, but last night I think our Cavs they rebounded for a nice victory, didn't they?
Hell yeah. Um, you know, just the biggest things were I felt like Darius Garland wasn't aggressive enough the first night. Obviously, he came out, shot 10 threes, made
Yeah.
six of them, 32 points. Just in attack mode, and you need him to be. He's the second best player on your team.
Yeah.
Um, he can do a lot of things. I know he wants to get everybody involved, but in the playoffs, you gotta be the most aggressive you can be
Yeah.
because they're gonna try to take some things away. They're gonna try to take Donovan away at times.
Sure.
So you gotta lead the dance and show people that you're more. I mean, he's a scorer. I mean, he averages 21 a game on a team with a guy that averaged 28. So
Right.
if that guy wasn't there, he could average 25, 26. So you just need him to say, "Hey, I'm aggressive," and then
Yeah.
and then play off that. So I love that. Um, Obviously, the defense was great.
Yeah.
Um, there's multiple things to get into, but I'll let Ben go ahead and get his thoughts out on that.
I think another big part of that was the fact that Donovan Mitchell didn't go out there and say like, "Hey, I need to score 50 to win this game." Like he wanted Darius to go out there and be more aggressive because like Aiden mentioned, like
Yeah.
Darius wasn't aggressive enough in game one. Donovan Mitchell even realized that. Like he even said that Darius has to be more aggressive, and Donovan kind of took a back seat. Only had 18 points, but had 13 assists too. So he was getting everybody else involved as well, and like Aiden said, like Darius, is the guy that always wants to get everybody involved. But if it's not just Darius doing that, if Donovan can do it, take a back seat, not have to put so much on his body, that could save him. If we do go to a game seven, or a game six, or a game
Yeah.
goes into overtime, it could save him for those clutch moments because we know he can get a bucket whenever he wants to. Same with Darius.
Yeah.
Like either one of them can get the entire offense involved. Like we've seen multiple games where Darius has 10 plus assists, double double, and
Yeah.
like I said, either one of them could run your true point guard and get everybody involved. So
Yeah. Well, they were so much more physical last night. I mean,
They
I
were.
think that obviously led to the they won the rebound battle. They won the battle on the boards, and I mean I like what changed? I mean, from one
Uh,
night to the next, what how did they? I mean, how they turn that around?
just think it was mindset
Yeah.
and young guys. I
yeah,
mean,
Hmm.
first playoff game for Darius, first one for Evan Mobley. Um, Not many games for uh, Jared Allen either. I know he played in a series with the Nets when he was younger, but
Yeah.
uh, you just have to match that force with force. So I think they had to realize they got punched in the mouth a little bit.
Yeah.
Obviously, they got out rebounded the first game 51-38, so that's a 13 rebound difference. We won this by 7 rebounds, obviously, but
Yeah.
like the first game, they had 17 off. Knicks had 17 offensive rebounds. We had like it was just bad all around on that end.
Yeah.
So ending possessions because we got stops last game. Like I know they only scored 90 points this game, but they only scored 101 the game before that.
yeah.
And
Right.
this is the top 5 offense in the NBA. The Knicks have been this year. So um, it was just about finishing possessions. And if we finish possessions, I don't know how the Knicks beat us really. Um,
Yeah.
it's not like they just every possession just beat us. I mean,
No.
Julius Randle has to get tough shots against Mobley.
Hmm.
Levert probably played the best isolation defense of his career last
Yeah.
night against Brunson.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
with
Brunson started off really hot, and then yeah, they shut him
yeah,
down. I mean, that
with
was it.
obviously Okoro getting kind of pushed out of the rotation last night, and Danny Green and Chetty getting minutes. So
Yeah.
um, it was just being force with force and being
Yeah.
ready for that punch and punching back.
Like you
Agreed.
said,
I thought it was nice to see him answer the bell. I mean, Ben, what'd you think?
like going back to like what Aiden said, like they're young. It's a lot of their first playoff series, and I think they came out game one like not really knowing what to expect. I mean, like obviously
Yeah.
Donovan's been there, so he's probably telling them like, hey, like you can expect this, you can expect this, but
Yeah.
like you can tell them all you want, but until
Yeah.
they truly experience it, it's gonna be like a surprise. Like I heard on the radio today, they're like I think they realize like how physical they need to be to win a playoff series, and I think that's what helped them yesterday out rebound and
Yeah.
just be more physical. Because you saw I was watching the game. I watched like the first and second quarter. Like there were some times where I looked over and they're going up for a layup and they're getting fouled, and it's like they wanted the contact yesterday, and they wanted to show that they were the more physical team and the more
Yeah.
to get the win.
Yeah, they looked like they had a totally different mindset. I mean, they came out, they were more, they looked more focused, they looked more energetic, they looked more fired up. I mean, everything was just across the board. They just looked like a different team. It was really cool to watch. And you could see, I mean, the effort on defense was there. I mean, the Knicks shooting percentages were awful. I mean, did you guys see? I mean, 36.7% from the floor, 24% from the 3-point line. I mean, what can you say about the defense? I mean, we talked about it. I mean, they were unreal. The intensity was amazing.
The defense, obviously, we have the best defensive rating in the NBA.
For a reason.
Like Evan Mobley finished third in his second year, which is insane for Defensive Player of the Year, right?
Yeah.
Guarding Julius Randle.
Yeah.
Like I said, Karras played the best isolation defense of his life last night against Jalen Brunson, but there's still shots like. You could go into the next game, the shots that Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle missed.
Yeah.
They might make some of those. That might be 45% next game. But there's still shots that Evan Mobley's missing that are just normal good shots for him. So
nerves maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. And like you needed a bench guy to step up, and obviously Karras was unbelievable last night.
Yes, he was.
24, and he was just playing his ass off. He just did everything possible. He started the second half after Okoro kind of started slow, missed a layup, got 2 fouls, and then we didn't see him again. I mean,
we didn't need to. I mean,
he only played 3 minutes.
Yeah. That's the way playoff series go. You might get played off the court in a playoff series. That's how it might go for you. So,
and he might play 30 minutes in Game 3. I mean,
you never know.
Speaking of getting played off the court, I mean, I know it's a while ago. It's completely off topic, but it was the LeBron Pacers series from a couple of years ago when Love and Kyrie didn't play the entire second half, whatever, and the Cavs came back and won it.
Yeah, and it just depends.
Yeah, like sometimes you might not have your game, you're gonna get played off.
No, it's different for Okoro because this has kind of been even in the play-in games last year. He kind of got played off the court.
Yeah.
He's not really a threat as a shooter. He doesn't space. Nobody respects him as a shooter. They leave him open.
Yeah.
And if he's not defending perfectly, there's really no reason he could be playing over LeVert. So that makes it tough, right?
I don't think he's a good matchup with the Knicks. I don't think it. Maybe it's just not the best
matchup.
To have him
Brunson matchup because he's forced Brunson into some tough games in the past, but it just makes it a lot harder when LeVert's playing that well. You're not going to get back on the court. Danny Green hits a 3. Chetty's playing hard, and he has a little more gravity than Okoro. You can space a little better, so it just makes it a lot harder.
Yeah, I mean, they spread around the production. You see the numbers there on the screen. I mean, Garland was unbelievable. Yeah, I feel like I barely saw Garland even touch the rim shooting threes. I mean,
he was locked in last night.
Silky smooth, man. Silky smooth.
I feel like it's harder to going back to Isaiah Okoro, being a good defender. I feel like it's hard to defend ISO players like Jalen Brunson, like perfectly every single night because they just have so many moves and it's that's why you rarely ever see guards and quote unquote like small forwards in the defensive player of the year because they have to guard a lot of times those shifty, those crafty guards and but like you said like Brunson he's always able to get to the free throw line. He's so crafty and it's hard for a guy like Okoro who's known as your best defender to defend him every single night perfectly without getting torched.
Yeah.
Brunson's a scary guy to see on the opposition in the playoffs, man. He's just one of those guys that gets it done, man. I don't know.
And I'd like to talk about JB a little bit here.
I love JB.
The adjustments he made in Game 2, especially against Brunson, were really good. I feel like they kind of were a little reluctant to switch Mobley, who's the best big defender in the NBA, onto Brunson, which if you look at the numbers, Mobley's good against every guard, including Brunson. That switch from Julius Randle to Karras LeVert on Julius, which I know you don't want to see, but you can double and rotate out of that. But you don't want to give Jalen Brunson drop that much because then he can pick you apart with floaters and pull up in the mid range. They were sending a lot of they were hard hedging and sending 2 to the ball, doubling Brunson, making him get off the ball, making somebody else beat him. So I like that change from JB to go pretty much strictly from a drop or being at the level and letting Brunson lead the dance to saying, hey, get it out of his hands, and then make somebody else make a play. We'll play
Yeah.
one-on-one with Randall versus Mobley all day and live
Yeah.
with the consequences of that.
Yeah.
But
And if the Knicks can't find someone to knock down shots from outside, they're going to be in big trouble
No
in the
doubt.
series.
Yep.
You know, they're in big trouble. You saw it last night. I mean,
Yeah.
I was a little worried after game one. Again, nice to see him answer the bell last night. I thought the Cavs came back fine.
Yeah.
So Friday night in New York, man, you know, Madison Square Garden, that's a tough environment.
It is.
8:30 on ABC, game 3. What are your guys' what are the prevailing thoughts here? I mean, how do you feel going into game 3?
I think if if we want the Cavs to win in 5, I think they have to go into New York
Well,
and steal game 3.
yeah.
If the Knicks win game 3, I feel like they could come back to Cleveland down 3-1 or 3-2.
Yeah, I think if like Ben said, if you want them to win in 5,
I was going to question your math there for a minute, Ben, but I see what you're saying.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Cavs in 9.
I
Cavs in
was
9.
a little confused for a second, but you got to it.
He
Like,
redeemed himself.
I get what he's saying. I feel like game 3 would be the backbreaker for the Knicks. Yeah. If you come in first game, it's energetic in there, and the Cavs just handle business, then they might just take the air out of that place.
Like, even if,
Yeah, for sure. For
Like,
sure.
even-
And you know, it's funny, man. Knicks fans have this like relationship with the Knicks anyway. Maybe it's a New York thing, man. They turn on their team pretty quickly. You know what I mean? Like it happens fast. So, I mean, I guess every city's like, not every city's like that, but
Yeah.
a lot of cities are like that.
even if we go in there and win game 3 in New York, and then New York wins game 2, I still feel like we come back home to Cleveland knowing like we just beat these guys at their place. We know we can win at home.
Right.
Yeah.
Like we have a chance in this series. But like if they go in there and they lose game 2, and then they lose game 3, they're like, well, they already beat us once at our place. So
Right.
like now our confidence could be a little bit shocked.
Well,
So I think it all
listen,
depends on game 3.
yeah, and maybe it wasn't so surprising that the Cavs rebounded. I mean, 31-10 at home this year. But you know, looking at the splits, man. I mean, again, like you said, young team, first playoff series for a lot of these guys. Now it's going to be the first game on the road. Should we be concerned that the Cavs went 20-21 on the road this season? Is that a legitimate concern right now?
Obviously, it's a concern. You don't want to have that record on the road.
Sure.
Their net rating says they're better on the road than what they showed. They're third in net rating on the road. I know that. But it just depends, man. I mean, here's what I'll say about that. The Cavs played their worst possible game in game 1. They lost by 4 points. The Knicks played a bad game in game 2 and lost by 17. The Cavs are the better team. No matter on the road or at home. You go on the road, this is you want to know what you traded for Donovan Mitchell for? To go on the road into a game 3, into a New York or a Boston and say, get us one.
Yeah. And not necessarily to carry 100% of the load, but to drag Garland or Mobley or somebody with him. You know what I mean?
Down the stretch, go get us one.
That's it.
And
That's
what
it.
you got
Down the
to
stretch.
So, you know, moments like these, Donovan's never shied away from. He's one of the best per game scorers in NBA history in the playoffs. So, I'm not worried, man. Donovan was more passive tonight, getting Darius's confidence up for sure last night.
Yeah.
But whenever he wants it, I haven't seen anybody that can stop him. I mean, whenever he wants to get to a spot, he gets to it. So we'll see what happens. But I'm still confident on the road, especially with the full game plan locked in. So
all right.
It'll be interesting to see though, like going back to what you said about JB making all those adjustments. It'll be interesting to see what kind of adjustments Tom Thibodeau, the Knicks coach, makes to see if he can get Brunson those shots.
Right.
And it'll all be, kind of like you said, if Brunson comes out hot, Garland or Mitchell has to come out and match what he's doing. Because if they don't, and he has 20 at halftime, I think the game's over. But I just personally think that if you can keep the same game plan that you had with Brunson or change it and contain Brunson, even if Mitchell and Garland, even if Mitchell, doesn't go out there, and score 50, so you get 20 from him, 20 from Garland, and 15 from Mobley. Like, you could still go in there and win that game with those numbers. Like, you don't need a guy to go up there and put up 40. But
yeah, especially if you get a contribution like LeVert off the bench last night or something like that. I mean, anything like that is going to be a huge boost. And real quick, we've got about a minute left on this. I just want to. Do you guys have not necessarily a score prediction, but like, who's your pick to click, man? Who's going to make the difference in this game 3?
Evan,
I think
there's a there's an Evan game coming
He's
where
due for a
it's
big one.
gonna be like a 24-14 type of night for
Yeah.
him.
He's due for a big
Yeah.
one.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
Also, it could be Levert again. I mean, Levert's the
Yeah.
type of guy. I mean, he's had seasons where he's close to averaging 20. He's the type of guy who can go win you a playoff game because he gets hot because he's a streaky scorer. But when he's on, he's on. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, it could be anybody, but I go with Evan. What about you,
All right.
Ted?
Same. I think it's going to be Evan Mobley. I think he's easing in. I think part of that, you said, not wanting to switch him out too much. I think that's just kind of easing him into just exactly what his role is going to be in the playoffs, right? Not giving him too much at once. You don't want to put all the weight of the world on his shoulders in game 2. So I think they gave him. I don't know. Yeah, Evan Mobley. I'm not going to be too long-winded with them. I'm just going with Evan.
Got you. That's fair. Yeah, we're all in agreement. That doesn't happen often.
Man, we all agree. That's amazing. Makes me
Proud of us.
It's a little emotional, man. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little emotional. Hey, listen, elsewhere in the playoffs, there's some other stuff going on in the NBA. Don't want to spend too much time on it, but out in the West, man, 7th seed, the Lakers are making some noise, man. They took down the Grizzlies.
No doubt.
Aidan, man, what do you think? Our old friend out there.
The GOAT. I mean, Austin Reeves went for 23. Rui went for 29 off the bench. Anthony Davis was like Bill Russell back in the day at 7 blocks. I mean, you could legitimately probably say, and D'Angelo Russell was good. There's a chance that you could have said LeBron was the 5th best player on the court, was the 5th best player on the Lakers in game 1, and they won by 16.
Yeah.
That don't look good for Memphis.
No, it doesn't. And they've got so many chemistry concerns and some injury concerns. And
so, I mean, LeBron, if you've watched him, his career, he usually has the feel-out game 1, where he's trying to figure out what the defense is trying to do to him and how they're trying to cover him. And after that, he kind of attacks it differently.
Yeah.
So you let other role players beat you before LeBron figured out what you're trying to do.
And we know what
you're in trouble.
We know what playoff LeBron's like, so it's not like he's going to go out there and and only score 21 a game. We know what playoff LeBron can do.
They better not let LA win tonight, or it'll be over in 4.
We've seen LeBron playoff LeBron up close and personal. We've seen that many times.
Like that.
The year
where right before he left again, 18. Oh my God.
18's the best player I've ever seen.
Bro, that LeBron was.
I mean, we'll never see that LeBron again.
No.
That dude was good.
No. I mean, that's
and then J.R. Smith.
Unfortunately, time passes and bodies age, and but he's still an amazing player. But all of a sudden, I mean, the Lakers look like they should have been like the 3 or the 4 seed, right? It's kind of weird. I mean, it's only one game.
18-9 since they made the trade, or 19-8, one of the two. This is, if you have this roster the whole year, this is a 50+ win team.
And also Anthony Davis.
Fair.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis has also been healthy the last 2 months of the season, which is another big part. Like I said, like we said off camera, I think it was me and Aidan talking yesterday or a couple days ago that if this Laker team stays healthy throughout the playoffs, they could make a finals.
Yeah, no doubt. And like I said, they have this team all year. They would have been a 50+ win team, because even if one of them gets hurt, either AD or LeBron gets hurt, you still have D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah.
You still have Austin Reeves. You still have all these other guys that can make plays. You still have Dennis Schroeder coming off the bench. So they're a good, deep team now. So we'll see what happens.
How mad is social media going to be if LeBron James goes back to the finals, man?
I mean, they're going to be mad at me because I'm going to be a problem on there.
You're already a problem. Hey, listen, the Warriors, man. What's going on with the Warriors? They're down 2-0. First time in Steph Curry's career. He's never been down 2-0 before. Draymond Green is just doing Draymond Green stuff. I would say it's unraveling, but what's going on with the Warriors? Are they done?
Fox is different. He's built different.
De'Aaron Fox is really good. What's also happening is their flaws are kind of getting shown in the series.
Yeah.
They don't. Andrew Wiggins is a good defender. Like, he's a good defender, but more against wings than guards.
Yeah.
There's some dudes who can do both, and Wiggins can do both. He's a good defender on anybody. I won't say he's not. But when you bring in probably your best guard defender in Gary Payton II, nobody's scared of him to shoot. They let him shoot. Mike Brown knows how to coach against these guys. Obviously, he was with the Warriors for a long time as an assistant coach.
Yeah.
And outside of Steph, they're just not getting consistent production from everybody else. Jordan Poole off the bench hasn't been regular season Jordan Poole or even last year's Jordan Poole, because I know this year's Jordan Poole was inconsistent. Clay's a little inconsistent. He's just going to keep talking about his 4 rings instead of actually playing good basketball.
You got Draymond Green out here curb stomping people.
Yeah, Draymond's curb stomping people, and he's suspended for a game. So now you got to wonder, as soon as Kevon Looney goes out of the game, who's guarding Domantas Sabonis?
Yeah.
Even though I know he's questionable, but I'm guessing questionable in the playoffs means pretty much he'll play.
Yeah.
We're all day to day, right?
You got to think about it like that. I mean, this isn't the first time he's done stuff like this. I remember Draymond with the kicking in the nuts to Steven Adams thing.
Jackie Chan on us.
And then he hit LeBron with the uppercut to the nuts, and then he got suspended. The Warriors fans said it was for nothing, and they still blew a 3-1 lead, but when they were 73-9. But that's just me. I still don't like them. I don't care.
It's okay.
But it's okay.
Let it all out, man.
They can go home. Draymond said he'd rather play Sacramento on his podcast because that's new media, and he's smart. He said he'd rather play Sacramento because the travel was better, but obviously he wouldn't rather play Sacramento because he's going to be at home watching the rest of the playoffs. So it's fine.
It doesn't matter if you're letting De'Aaron Fox score 38 a game on your forehead. So.
Yeah, and you're giving Malik Monk is giving you buckets off the bench.
Yep.
Right. All right, NBA playoffs. I mean, there they are. Like I said, Game 3 is Friday night, 8:30, ABC. I'm sure we'll all be watching the Cavs. We want to see what's going on. But let's transition. I'm going to get out of the NBA. Let's take a break from NBA basketball. When we come back on the other side, we're going to talk about ABA basketball. We're going to go to Hillsboro, Missouri to talk about the ABA finals this weekend, man.
Oh, shoot.
So, obviously, I think the question that you're all asking is, who were the final 8, right? Who were the ABA final 8? And we're glad you asked because we know that, and we can tell you. We know things here. So the top seed was the Wyoming Valley Clutch. You've got on their side of the bracket, they played Texas Seraphim 1 versus 8. It's like I said, it's a simple 8-team bracket, right? You've got the Atlanta Aliens as the 4 seed. They took on the Indiana LY Lions as the 5 seed on that side of the bracket. And then on the other side, we can switch over and we can look at the graphic there. You've got Team Trouble, right? They're the 2 seed. Played the Burning River, not the River Buckets, but the Burning River Buckets. You got to make the distinction there. They were the 7 seed.
Between River and Buckets.
Right. And then the other game there, you got the Chula Vista Suns against the Providence Pirates.
I thought that was the Phoenix Suns at first.
The Phoenix Suns. They
It would be the Phoenix Suns if the logo wasn't California. Probably.
Yeah, that's usually a problem. Oh, it's going off the rails quick. Well, anyway. So what do we want to talk about? What happened in the ABA finals, right? Like who were the champions, who won games? Normally we'd be breaking down games and talking about like the semifinal matchups and what happened in the finals, but
who won?
Well, I mean, who won the championship? That's not as easy of a question as you might think it is, okay? So the Indiana LY Lions they were going to take on the Burning River Buckets. Which team won? I think Mother Nature won, man. I think Mother Nature won because just pretty much almost right through the path of campus, man. I was looking at the path of this thing, and I couldn't get a good enough picture to show you. It was just a little highlighter on a map. It didn't really show much. But they had a little tornado on Saturday. That little problem. And obviously, you try to find a solution here. You've got travel costs for teams that aren't printing money like NBA teams and professional leagues. They try to come to a solution. Nothing really that you can do sometimes when you've got teams coming from so far away. So for the first time ever, we've got ABA co-champions. The Indiana Lions and the Burning River Buckets are co-champions in 2022, 2023. What do you guys think, man?
I want a refund.
You want a refund? You want your money back?
Yeah, like you said, it's just hard. These aren't NBA teams that have billions of dollars where they can just spend on expenses and housing and all that stuff to keep teams out there, keep teams in a different place after they took them somewhere else.
Yep.
So it all just depends, man. And congratulations to both teams.
Absolutely.
Obviously, they're competitors. They're pro basketball players. They want to play. They want to be the winners. They want to be the only winners. So
sure,
sucks for them, but definitely great to have, talk about the ABA and get it back in circulation. So
yeah, absolutely. It's a fantastic league. I mean,
Like the
I don't think anybody's gonna be really disappointed. I mean, when they look back on this in their careers, I don't think anyone's gonna say, "Ah, man, we never got to play that champion." You might be a little bummed by it, but I mean, look, 2 lower seeds getting to the championship game. I mean, got parity here, just like in college basketball. Like I said, you do what you can, and that's, I think, the best solution at the end of the day. I mean, what do you do? A coin flip, a 3-point contest? I mean, I'm sure I don't know what options were discussed, but I mean,
one-on-one
game of horse. What do you do?
Best player, one-on-one, best player versus best player to 11.
There you go. That works. We can do that. Oh, it got us thinking though.
Can't guard me. Sorry.
Yeah, it was just rare. I was trying to look through like some of the annals to see like I was trying to find championship level games that had been maybe unexpectedly postponed due to weather or something kind of crazy acts of with nature, whatever. My personal favorite one. I don't know if you guys want to start with me or not, but I'm hosting, so I'm going to start with me. 1989 World Series, man. Oakland and San Francisco. Do you guys remember seeing any video of this?
I saw some video of it, Chad. We're a little younger, so we weren't born then.
Yeah.
But,
thanks for reminding me about that. The aches and pains don't do it enough. I appreciate that.
I've definitely seen video of it.
Wait, what happened? I don't think I've ever seen this one.
89 World Series, they had the earthquake, man, in San Francisco. I mean, I was watching that live, and it was like during the pregame. They were coming on and amping up the game, and all of a sudden, like the TV went out, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. The feed, and it seemed like it kind of moved, right before it went out. Came back on for a second. You could kind of tell they were panicking, and then it went back out. And eventually, they came back on and said that they had an earthquake, and it wasn't. This is 1989. I mean, it wasn't. Right. There was no internet. There wasn't. Well, there was, but not available at the consumer level, and there was no social media. I mean, you couldn't just jump on Twitter and be like, "What happened in San Francisco?" You had no idea until they came back, and then you started to see like on some other stations there was breaking news. You figured out what was going on eventually, but that was wild, man. I remember like as a kid, that was just it shook me. I mean, no pun intended, because it's an earthquake, but that really like shook me up a little bit, man. I was like, man, are they okay? Like, what about the people in the stadium? I mean, could the stadium collapse? Like, what was going on? It was really like troublesome, man, to kind of go through that. And you can see how quickly it can go south, man, with the weather.
Other sporting events being canceled, like I have one. It's not as popular probably, but it was a 2012 World Cup qualifying match between Poland and England.
Mm-hmm.
And supposed to be played in England, and it was a torrential downpour that ended up canceling the game. And usually in soccer, they'll play in rain, they'll play in snow.
Yeah.
But it got to the point where the field was too unsafe for players to play, and so that they postponed it to the next day, and it just wouldn't stop raining. So what was supposed to be a home game for England turned into being a home game for Poland. They ended up playing in Poland.
Yeah.
And in the World Cup cycle, you play one at home, one at away against each team.
Yeah.
So Poland already played their one against England. They lost it at home already. So they had the second one. And England ended up tying it 1-1 on a late Wayne Rooney goal in like the 85th minute, and it ended up knocking Poland out of the World Cup and promoting England into the World Cup.
Wow,
that's tough.
That made a difference, yeah.
I like that you got back to the 2000s and got out of the 1900s. I don't remember anything from back then.
The previous century. Then that sounds weird. I don't like. Let's not talk about that. Let's move on. I don't like that.
Me and Ben were born in modern day times.
Aidan, you have a sporting event that?
Yeah, I do. It's.
Do I need to turn this car around? I'll turn this car around. That's a dad thing.
It's a pretty recent sporting event. It wasn't the biggest, but it mattered for playoff seeding. And it was just a moment that'll forever be etched in my head, I guess, with DeMar Hamlin, the situation that happened.
Yeah.
Actually, he's back. He's been fully cleared to play again, so that's awesome. Yep. Shout out to him.
I never thought he'd play football again, to be honest.
But like that game getting postponed, and then the Bills, I'm pretty sure getting the 2 seed out of that, and the Bengals getting the 3 seed. Obviously, the Bengals still went to Buffalo and won, right? But you still love to play the games at home if you can.
Yeah. How wild was it that the 2 teams were playing each other? It affected their seeding, and then that caused that was wild.
Yeah, and I just remember watching that game and it coming to a stop, and I'm saying like, hey, we're not going back on tonight after a while because they said 15 minutes at first or whatever.
Yeah. And at that, you just didn't care about seeding or the playoffs or the game or the score or anything at that point.
That's very scary.
You just want to know if he was okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you didn't know for a while if he was okay. So
right, there was a lot of Twitter refreshing for me the next couple of days, man, just looking for good news, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the one that's etched in my brain because they never replayed that game. They
Yeah,
didn't,
no, yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
I don't think. I mean, obviously, they had the chance to restart it.
yeah.
Sean McDermott went up to Zach Taylor and said, "Hey, my players don't want to play. Like, do you care if we postpone the game?" And Sean Taylor's like, "No, I completely understand." Or Zach Taylor's like, "I completely understand."
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, at that point, there's not really much you can do. Like, if the players want to play, let them play. If not, you can't really force them to play. I mean, their players
No,
need to
I mean,
on the field, so.
Out of simple respect for DeMar Hamlin, I think it was, probably the best decision. It ended up how it ended up. It's whatever.
Yeah.
It did.
So, and he's been clear, like you said, he's been cleared to play now. He's doing great.
Awesome,
That's great news. That's great news.
DeMar Hamlin was having a good season. He was going to get paid a decent amount of money. So hopefully he can come back and still play at that level and take care of his family. So
I don't know if you guys saw, but the NFLPA actually picked up his salary.
That's awesome.
Because when you get hurt like that, you're supposed to not like that. That's what's called guaranteed money.
Okay.
If you get hurt, you don't get the money that's not guaranteed.
Right.
So the NFLPA picked up his salary and then they ended up paying him the money still anyways.
That's awesome.
So
fantastic move. It should have been done, but I know it's going to set a precedent now. When other players have maybe not as serious of an injury, but it's season ending, they're going to go, well, hey, NFLPA,
but at the end of the day, what the NFL hasn't told us didn't tell us for a while about CTE and all these things with the brains and everything. They probably owe some players some money that they'll never get. So
sure. And on the other side of that, I do understand that you sign a contract. It is what it is. You have to live with those terms. It's just you'd like to see them make good on that. Yeah. But I want to move on from that. We've got a couple things, just kind of like random show notes at the end here. That's like I said, just wanted to cover the ABA finals and kind of get into all that. It was just so bizarre, really. The ending was just so abnormal that it just got me thinking about all the other crazy, delays and postponements.
I want my refund. I'm still waiting on it.
Yeah, we'll get you your money back.
I know an owner, so I'm gonna talk to him. We're gonna have
we got to talk to some like executive level people in the ABA.
I'm gonna send him a strong worded email.
Yeah, that's what you do. Yeah, strong worded, but professional. Keep it professional, but word it strongly.
Strongly worded.
Right. Speaking of professional, I don't know if the Browns are going to handle this professionally or not, but we got the draft coming up in 8 days, guys. It's been kind of thrown under the rug a little bit for me. I haven't really. Maybe it's because they don't have a first round pick, and maybe it's because we're not talking about which quarterback is the future again. But it just seems like I don't know. It's been a little anticlimactic. It's just kind of coming up, and it's going to be here in 8 days. I don't really have anything prepared for this, but I want to ask you guys: do the Browns change their strategy at all? They've got some obvious issues now with Perrion Winfrey. It doesn't look like he's going to be back.
Yeah.
Does that change? Because they were trying to develop him and bring him along as a young defensive tackle, and now suddenly they don't have that player anymore. Do they look to replace him, or is it just kind of business as usual?
I think they'll probably look to replace him in one of the rounds.
I feel like you have to.
Yeah. Obviously, you have to. Like Ben said, you kind of have to.
It's one of the huge holes. They've signed some guys. They've signed some free agents, but they need depth. You've got to have.
But yeah, we don't have a first round pick. Obviously, we're gonna do a deep dive into the draft next week, right before the draft. But there's a lot of interesting storylines going on right now with the CJ Stroud. Oh, he's the first pick. Now he's not.
Yeah.
Oh, he might be the fourth quarterback taken now.
I saw that Bryce Young was the favorite last time I looked. I don't know if it's
No
changed
doubt.
since I looked.
It'll just be interesting to see where teams want to go.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't know if we told you guys already. We got a Pittsburgh fan right here. From a non-biased perspective, I would probably tell them to go corner. If I was looking at the roster, I think they've improved the O-line enough to where they're decent. But
who, the Steelers?
Yeah.
My God, who the cares?
Yeah, we're done. Thanks, Ben, but that's cool. We're done talking about your team now. I don't want to talk about the Steelers anymore. I'm done. No, we can talk. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, Ben. We love you. We know we love you.
Yeah.
If I'm the Browns, unbiased. If I'm the Browns,
Mm-hmm.
I think like I said, I think you have to replace Perrion Winfrey. Obviously, you don't have a first round pick.
Right.
But I think you fill your strongest need first in the second round.
Okay.
And then after that, then you can look to get depth at the positions you need the most. So defense.
So we've talked about it ad nauseum, and we've never really gotten your opinion because Aidan and I have gone back and forth on it. But what is their biggest need right now? What is it? Yeah, it's a lot.
Personally, I think defensive tackle is probably still up there.
Yeah.
Maybe an offensive lineman because Jedrick Wills is always getting hurt.
Yeah.
A guy like that.
Or even when he's not hurt.
He plays like he's hurt.
Yeah,
Ugh,
like
man.
I said,
I'm
I think
sorry. I'm just not.
I like the guy. I mean, I'm sure he's a great human being, but it's for some reason it's not working out.
You could go safety. Let Juan Thornhill, a Super Bowl champion, kind of mentor a guy, bring him in for after a couple of years because what contract he signed? 2-year deal with the Browns?
I think 3 or
3-year.
14.
So it's a 3-year deal. You draft a guy this year, let him sit behind a Super Bowl champion for starting Super Bowl champion for 2 or 3 years. Then at the end of the deal, if he performs, he's going to want to get paid, and then you just let that safety take his spot.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's
yeah. I do think it's probably. I know we signed some good players, probably D tackle, DN, but probably I'd say the biggest one is linebacker still.
I completely forgot about linebacker. Yeah.
Yeah. There's just so many holes.
I still think you need a man in the middle that's going to handle business.
Yeah. You need that shot caller on defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, I would honestly love to see a 2nd or 3rd round pick at strong safety to make Grant Delpit compete for that spot because I don't think he was good last year.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, but it's just hard because obviously we don't have our 1st round pick. We traded that for Deshaun Watson, which we'll see. But
we'll see.
You can never be mad at what the Browns do. Because at the end of the day, I'm used to it by now, and it causes me no pain anymore.
Something I heard on
go ahead.
Something I heard on the radio is I don't know if you guys knew this or not or saw it, but Amari Cooper actually played hurt last year.
Yeah, he did play. He just had surgery.
Yeah, still one of the best seasons of his career. He had 4 muscle surgeries this offseason in February.
On his core, I believe, which is amazing.
So if you think about it, he put up over 1,000, one of his best seasons ever, hurt.
Yeah.
Like what's he going to do healthy now?
No doubt. And, we just have to see with Deshaun Watson. I know this offense averaged 12 points a game with Deshaun Watson last year.
Yeah.
And this defense obviously had holes, especially in the run game. So we have to see where it goes, man.
Pittsburgh didn't average much more, but
Yeah, who cares, Ben?
But we just have to see where this thing goes and how we handle it because this is pretty much a do or die season for the Browns.
I mean, you still have the best you still have the best running back in football. So
And we'll see how much influence Jim Schwartz has, on the defensive roster too. I mean,
that was a great signing, Jim Schwartz.
Yeah.
Every place he's gone, he's had a top 5 defense at least once.
Yeah.
For sure.
So
and is that personnel or is that scheme? Is it we'll find out.
Well, a lot of it is the reason why the Browns are not inside a bunch of defensive linemen is because every place he's gone, he's had a top like 3 or 5 defensive line.
Yeah.
And the Browns have the talent to have that. It's just a matter of whether or not his scheme can help them get there.
You've got to have depth. You have to have fresh legs. I mean, I think you've got to have 8 solid guys that you trust on the defensive line.
Jim Schwartz does like to rotate, so depth will be a big part.
I would say probably 7 to 8.
Yeah. Okay.
You could probably get away with 6.
Yeah, at best. But if you're just doing 6 guys, it has to be all 6 very, very good players.
Yeah, you can't have.
If you're doing 7.5, is it the legs or the torso?
Torso.
Okay. Well, how does he get to the quarterback? Just get there and get your hands up at the line, or?
No, you just put him on Myles Garrett's back.
Oh, I got it. Okay, and then he piggybacks over. Okay, that makes sense. I
don't know.
This is the new analytics, man. This is what sports is all about now. You got to ask these questions.
Yeah, but
legs or torso.
We're gonna have a draft special where we really look into players some more next week. Some storylines next week. Maybe a little mock draft action. We'll see what happens. But
maybe we'll run a mock draft, off air here, and then we'll show you guys the results. And
no doubt,
we got to find the one that gives you the grades, man. I want to see if I can get an F for a mock draft. I just want to see how bad I can do.
BFF action.
Yeah, we gotta do that.
I'm not a big
I think
fan
it's
of
fun.
Browns trade Nick Chubb for the number 1 pick. That'll give you an F.
All right.
Oh my goodness! What? Why do we do? Can we mute his mic? Is that a
thing?
thing?
He said he wanted to get an F on his
Why would you even
draft.
put that in the air? Why would you even put that in the air?
Goodness, man.
Hey, I'm not the only one that said that. Just saying.
Okay. Can we mute him?
I'm trying. I'm hitting buttons here. I don't know. I didn't do anything.
Who let a Pittsburgh fan in here?
Oh, the school?
That's not a threat. I'm sorry. I hit the wrong button. Yeah, I don't know. Can't mute him. I think if I mute him, I might mute you, and it's not worth it, Aiden. I like to hear you talk, man.
I don't.
It is what it is.
I just talk too much. So
I hear you. Hey, listen, I don't anything going on in baseball that you guys want to talk about? I mean, the Guardians are. What's that? Yeah, the Rays lost. It's the come on ref curse again, man.
One thing about the
doomed
Guardians,
the Rays.
inconsistent pitching,
Inconsistent pitching.
inconsistent pitching, inconsistent hitting.
And now the Braves are just about pulled even with them, by the way. I mean, hey, the
Yeah.
Braves are 14-4. The Rays are sitting at 15-3. And baseball is just such an equalizer anyway. I mean, the Braves. I did it again, man. I'm telling you mentioned the abdominal surgery for Amari Cooper. That's a real deal, man. That made me create a hybrid quarterback in Devin McCord. It just made me say Raves. You just never know what's going to happen. But yeah, I think the Rays are going to have this stretch of the season where they go 1-14. I don't know if they'll lose a bunch in a row, but they're going to have a really, really bad stretch, and somehow they're going to end up back at 85 and 77. I mean, it's just.
I'm hoping that's what's happening with the Guardians now.
Yeah.
Tough stretch. I mean, they went through it last year. A month before they went on that. A month before they went 24-7 in their final 32 games.
Yeah.
They were like 15 and 17 or something like that. So I'm just hoping it's a tough stretch for them and they'll get back to. I feel like I said, once Tristan McKenzie comes back, I feel like that's when our team's going to turn around because the energy he brings, he's arguably our best pitcher.
Yeah, it just leads to more consistent pitching and pitching depth when McKenzie's back.
Yeah.
You don't have to see Hunter Gaddis go out there.
Oh my God.
He had a decent game. He had one decent game.
Against
the A's. I could pitch good against the A's.
Yeah, put Ben out there.
I could pitch good against the A's.
I mean, except for Sean Murphy, he's maybe going perfect. Let's talk about it. I mean, it's Hunter Gaddis. I saw him get bombed by you know how hard I bet the over when Hunter Gaddis was pitching against him?
Yeah.
It was the easiest decision of my life. That's what it was.
Let me tell you, Hunter Gaddis has a career minor league ERA of 6. How in the hell they thought he was going to be a good pitcher in the big leagues?
Well, listen, ERA it doesn't always tell the story. You know what I mean? ERA is it can be a very, very misleading stat. You can have one bad inning as a pitcher, and your ERA can get absolutely trashed. And it's hard to recover from that early on.
But a career 6 ERA though in 6 minor league seasons.
Yeah, but it may have been. Listen, he may have come in as a completely different type of pitcher, and the Guardians like to develop these fastball slider guys that tunnel pitches. Yeah. He may just be having a problem learning how to tunnel his pitches. I mean, he may have the stuff. They're just sometimes with guys, there's a tell, right? A guy does a certain thing with his glove when he throws an off-speed pitch, or he brings the ball across different. He may just have some like a mechanic. I haven't watched him enough to really see. But he may have some kind of telling point where here comes an off-speed pitch, something like that.
Guy that I think could be a staple if he keeps pitching the way he's been pitching is Peyton Battenfield. Chad, I know me and you were texting about him. He looked incredible against the Yankees, 4 2/3.
Yeah.
He made one bad pitch against the Tigers that ended up costing us the game. We lost 1-0. But that dude doesn't overpower you. It's not going to throw 99 by you. But his stuff is, he's one of the. We talked about the Grom yesterday in class. He's one of those tall guys that hides the ball well. Has that good slider that he can break off from his fastball. Looks exactly like his fastball. I think.
Yeah.
I think Quantrill was kind of just like a placeholder. I think Plesac was too. I think next year you could see a rotation of Bieber, McKenzie, Battenfield, and then probably either Peyton or Tanner Beebe, and then you could find a 4th starter, and then Savale if he pitches well.
No, I will say the only thing I'll say about what you said, Ben, is if you give up 1 run, that can't lose you the game. The offense has to be so much better.
Yeah, you've got to do so. You've got to score. You've got to score to win, right? You got to score at least 1, right?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it doesn't help. Jose Ramirez went 0 for 4, but 4 strikeouts doesn't help. But
that's going to happen. I mean, that's absolutely going to happen at some time. That's baseball.
It's
baseball, yeah. Yep. But like I said, Peyton Battenfield, he's looked really really good. So I'm hoping that he's a guy. I'm hoping he's a guy that can stay in the big leagues and make a huge impact.
He's definitely looking like he can.
He is, yeah. Like I said, he's not Guardian. And the Guardians, they don't have a pitcher, a starter that's going to go out there and throw it 102 by every single time. A lot of their guys are like. I mean, obviously, nobody's Greg Maddux, but their guys, can paint the corners. They can, put it right where they need to, and they pitch to soft contact.
Yeah, and really in baseball now, it's really like you said, soft contact. That's phenomenal. You don't want to throw too many pitches anymore, right? But the biggest thing in baseball now is being able to pitch up in the zone. I mean, it used to be pitching inside, and it's still important to pitch inside, but now, I mean, with launch angle, everybody trying to get up to the ball. those high fastballs look even more delicious than they used to, right? I mean, guys are at the top of the zone. It's hard to hit.
I don't know how many times I've seen the Guardians swing at pitches that are like 5 inches over the outside the strike zone. I'm like, what are you swinging at? Like,
Jose loves high cheddar.
Well, hey, listen, we're 5 inches out of the strike zone. We're out of time here, guys. I want to wrap this up, but yeah, I think that Guardians going forward when they get McKenzie back, they're going to be fine. Stabilize that team a little bit, stabilize the rotation. Yeah,
like 50% bullpen the other day, so he's getting there.
Yeah, he'll get there. He'll be back. But yeah, guys, great show. I mean, for Ben Bales and Aidan Vance, I'm your host, Chad Bryan. It's been another episode of Come On Ref. Thank you guys so much for watching. Guys, what do you think? Any parting thoughts?
Go Cavs.
Go Cavs.
Go Cavs. I'll see you next time.